Hot or not? A string of fresh indicators show China's economy is undergoing what analysts have referred to as a slowdown. But China is still expanding at about 8% a year. That really is breakneck speed when you consider this. The U.S. economy is growing at under 2%.
Relative to the rest of the world, China is still a very strong growth economy. There's no doubt about that. Compared to what it was, compared to the growth rate a few years ago, it clearly has decelerated.
China has lurched from near isolation to global player in just decades. It imports vast amounts of commodities from other continents to fuel its factories and build gleaming new office towers. But a few key changes are stunting China's thunderous advance. Here's a list of what's hurting the country. The era of abundant cheap labor, i.e. factory workers earning peanuts, is ending. Wages in urban areas are rising by over 10% a year. Some factories in southern China have shut down. They simply can't afford the higher labor costs. China's also struggling to change from being dependent on exports to having its own trade. Despite all the talk of extravagant buying by new rich, overall consumption is weak. Investors were plowing money into apartments as they moved into cities, but overbuilding has led to a steep slowdown in the property market. Beijing has one major card in its hand to keep growth ticking at a healthy pace. It's a state-driven economy. When it faced a slowdown 4 years ago, it pumped $4 trillion into infrastructure projects. But fast forward a few years and the situation looks different. Local governments have piled up over $1 trillion in debt after a major spending spree.
I think to some extent you can call it a time bomb in China. According to our calculation, the credit stock in the banking sector is already 140% of GDP. That's actually quite high relatively to other countries in Asia.
And along with its rising influence, China's grown more interdependent with the rest of the world. Europe's its biggest trading partner. About a quarter of its foreign reserves are in the single European currency. Proof that China is now intermingled with the rest of the world. Tara Joseph reporting for Reuters.